All right, so this is 60 days, about 2 months of filming, and I condensed it all into 8 minutes of video of Giselle's baby hatching from hatch all the way to hard penning stage when I took her to falconer. So this first clip obviously is not in fast forward, but all the rest of the clips will be. Giselle hatched the baby herself. She sat on the eggs herself. I didn't use an incubator or anything like that to keep the eggs warm. Basically, while she was sitting on the eggs, I fed her 3 times a day and just checked on her to make sure everything was good. The baby hatched on its own overnight, and Giselle kind of did all the mothering at that point. The first few days, just to make sure the baby was getting enough food, I helped out. But after I knew that Giselle could handle it from there, all I was doing was going in a few times a day to deliver her food so she would frequently feed the baby. So I was trying to be the best male goshawk I could be. And that would also allow her to get a little break and go take a bath and exercise her wings a little bit. I ended up using a lot of ground squirrel. We trap a lot of ground squirrels on our farm. And so there was a lot of ground squirrel and some mice and some quail and day old baby chicks and that sort of thing mixed in. So it was a nice varied diet, and there was a lot of bone in the diet as well. Um, I realized watching Giselle feed the baby that she's pretty careful about how she's feeding, and that she's also feeding very small pieces of meat. But oftentimes there's parts of bone in that as she's ripping it off of the game or the body. You can see at this point that I put the leg band on the baby, the permanent leg band there on the right leg. And you have to do that before the feet get so big that you can't fit that seamless band onto the leg. So I made sure to do that. I put it on my calendar and marked it so I wouldn't miss it, and tried a couple days before I found the right day to do it. And you can see from here, I didn't actually spend very much time with Giselle or the baby other than watching her feed it and checking on it and filming this so I could make this time lapse. And again, she did a really amazing job of raising the baby pretty much on her own, just with me bringing in food frequently. There were a couple of interesting events that happened when she was raising the baby. There was some raccoons and some possums that came by. It was very hot summer. There was a bit of a heat wave, and so there was a lot of snakes that ended up in the mews. And Giselle was very good about alarm calling whenever that happened, even at night. And so I would run out there with a flashlight and kind of help her fix the problem. The raccoons and the opossums didn't get in the cage; they were just around it. So I ended up setting up a hot wire just to keep that from happening so frequently. And you can see at this point, the baby has started standing. It was still kind of getting used to its legs here. And the primaries and the secondaries are all starting to come in, and the pin feathers. And the baby started being a little more exploratory, but was still afraid to come out of the nest at this point. But you'll see soon that it got pretty brave pretty quick. And with the heat, it ended up on the floor near the water dish fairly soon after this. I did occasionally go in there and mess around with the baby, but that was a rare occurrence. And now you can see that I put anklets on, and I did that before the baby was too mobile and strong. You can see here the heat wave, the baby is panting pretty hard. But I got the anklets on, and then soon after I got the jesses in. And I did that just because I wanted the baby to get used to that equipment so it wouldn't fight it later or tear at it later. So it wouldn't be an issue in the future, and it would adjust to that equipment fairly quickly. And you can see here the baby feathers have come in pretty well. She's as big as Giselle. She actually ended up being a larger framed bird than Giselle was. Her feet were a little bit bigger, and her body frame and head were a little bit bigger. And so at this point out, her body wouldn't be getting any larger. It would just be her feathers finishing growing in. You can see she's pretty much fully feathered, and now it's just time for the primaries and the tail feathers to finish getting the length. You could see the second bar on the tail there. This is one of the days where she ended up on the floor by the water dish. And at this point, she started the brancher stage, jumping around, learning how to fly a little bit. I have rope perches in there, and that kind of helps with balance and also fighting off any potential for bumblefoot. It makes for soft landings because of the give. You can see the third bar now is almost appearing under the tail coverts. So she was coming along really nicely. Giselle actually started getting a little bit tired of her by the end of this, and oftentimes the baby would harass Giselle and kind of chase her around the mews. So I think Giselle was happy that the baby was going to be leaving soon. And I get in the wild why parents kind of kick the babies out or try to avoid them. The babies are actually pretty aggressive about trying to get the parents to feed them. So here you can see the third bar has appeared at the tail coverts, and some good sized feet on her. And at this point, it's just going to be a normal speed clip, so you can see her development and ability to fly. She's 59 days old at this point. She's pretty much hard penned. You can see the fourth bar on the tail. I put the crate in there so she could start getting used to the crate in the kennel. Hopefully that would help her with the next falconer she's going to in terms of giant hooding and transport and all that. So you can see she's definitely able to fly, and feathers are all grown out, and at this point she's ready to go. It was a pretty interesting experience, sort of a dual imprint sort of thing. I never directly fed her other than the first couple days to make sure everything is good, but beyond that, Giselle raised her. But she saw me every day. The baby saw me every day, multiple times a day when I'd go in and feed. And as time went on, she got a little more wary of me, and so it was hard to get too close to her. But she took everything in stride, dirt bikes, trucks, tractors, all that stuff just outside the mews. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed seeing a baby hawk go from day 1 to day 59 in about 8 minutes.